What's going on, everybody? This is EQ of the Black Pumas.
And you're watching First Time. First time we met each other, 2017 in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to, reached out to Eric through a mutual friend, tried to track him down. He called me, sang on the phone. That was the first time I heard his voice. And we set up a subsequent studio session, and then you came through to my studio.
Came through, we recorded the first two singles, which was Black Moon Rising and Fire. My first album was 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Trying. And I think I fell in love with it when I felt the excitement of just having a trampoline, I guess, as a younger kid. Headphones on, singing to Many Men and everything else he was cursing about in that album at a younger age was really cool for me.
I think first album I fell in love with, bought on every format. I remember buying it on cassette, CD, and vinyl was Beastie Boys' License to Ill. They just represented even a little bit later everything that I was into at that age, which was like hip hop, but skateboarding and a little bit of punk rock, all the things I was into. Basketball, they always had cool basketball shoes.
I don't know, I was probably like 9 or something like that. A church play or choir or something my grandma made me do.
I think when I started taking guitar lessons, I took guitar lessons for a couple years. I had to play couple of recitals with the footstool, classical guitar, in an awkward mirror room, and yeah, it was pretty terrifying. I've been nominated twice previously before Black Pumas, and the first time I honestly don't remember exactly how we found out, but the second time I remember exactly where I was sitting. I was sitting at a bar in Austin called Momo's. That's no longer there on 6th Street, and immediately just ordered a drink. I remember that. And then the Pumas, we were in London coming out of a radio station when we found out.
Is it Manchester?
London.
Is it London?
Yeah.
London. I think that we shared kind of the same experience. You know, there was a bar right around the corner. We spent some time at the pub, and for me, busking on the street and skating to my gigs, to play solo shows, kind of put me in a mindset where I would never conceptualize or think that something as big as being nominated for a Grammy would actually happen. That as it is happening, as it has happened, I feel like I'm still processing it. You know, I've cried, I've laughed, I've screamed, you know, kind of we've gone through the, you know, varied of emotions.
I don't know I can't remember if I can remember exactly the first time I felt success, because it's a little bit of a subjective thing. But there is moments, and I feel like when you make your family proud, to me, that's a big validating factor. We had a song on a commercial that ran on Thanksgiving Day during some football games, and in South Texas, to have your song come on a Dallas Cowboys football game is success.
I never told Adrian this, but the first time I've ever felt successful was when I was about maybe like 8 years old, and I was at a church where they had this keyboard, like it's like a 72 key keyboard that had all these different sounds. You could program different instruments, right? So they rounded up all the kids, right? And they were like, okay, so whoever can make the best song idea, like within like, you know, 8 bars or whatever it was, I'll go and buy you some hot Cheetos. I loved hot Cheetos as a kid,
yeah.
And so, like up against like 15 young kids, I won the bag of hot Cheetos. It came up with like, I used like every key. It seems insignificant now, but I still remember it very vividly. It was such a cool time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I can still taste the Cheetos. I was living in California, kind of helping out with Mom, and I had like $65 to my name when I heard that American Idol was having auditions in Houston, Texas. Got a bus ticket. I had $15 when I got there. Didn't know anyone. Didn't know what I was going to do. Waited in line with all the contestants, and I made it. Like I remember making it to the next round, and I made it to the Hollywood Week upon going back home, and that was the biggest risk that I feel like the first big risk that I've ever taken. I just went for it.
Honestly, I mean, I think like just choosing the path of just being a musician is, you know, a bit of a risk. feeling pressure from all sides with family on how you're gonna stabilize your life, and just making the dive.
Tupac's changes. I remember like just kind of growing up in LA, and a lot of my family were just Tupac fans, hip hop fans, and I remember just the keys, the piano on that song. It's a sampled song, right? Changes.
Mm-hmm.
I see no changes. All I see is racist faces. Misplaced hate makes disgrace to races.
Tupac had like this very politically charged way of presentation in that song that made me feel something really deep.
I kind of had a little bit of a traumatic experience happening, and remembered hearing Guns N' Roses' Rocket Queen playing in the background. It would almost bring me to tears to hear that song every time I play, which is not a song that anybody cries to. I think that first month that we started playing at Seaboys, we didn't
definitely. Yeah.
I mean, we hardly told our friends, that we were playing. It wasn't like we had management or like anything. I think I remember setting up an Instagram account, and we put up a song on Spotify, and we literally said, let's see what happens for fun. So, but I think like 2 or 3 weeks in, it was already feeling like, okay, you can feel the energy out here, and that's building week to week to week. And, I mean, those are great times, those first couple months.
Yeah.
By that point, I remember hearing from people like literally around the world a couple months in that had already heard the song somehow.
I think a little bit of everything triggered, what Adrian is talking about. I think that his history and track record as a producer and a musician in this industry speaks for itself. And, I've obviously kind of been, at the grind doing my own thing for quite some time, that I think that the first time that we had gotten together, it was like these two worlds just kind of like came to collide and make something that was something that we hadn't heard before necessarily, while piggybacking on, the relationships that we both had created and made at that point. So I think that what it took for it to happen was just the passion from day one.